Yes.
I got breaking news right now.
Breaking SEC, or I don't know if it's SEC.
Well,
Breaking
it's kind of
Ryan Tannehill.
SEC. It's kind of SEC. It's more NFL. Ryan Tannehill is injured. His status for this weekend is uncertain. The Titans have signed quarterback Josh Dobbs.
Oh, look at that.
Josh Dobbs to the Titans. So just
So that
throwing
means
that out
that means
there.
Jarrett Garantano and Josh Dobbs are both active quarterbacks this weekend.
And for the record, Malik Willis is horrendously bad, so don't count out Josh Dobbs' chance of playing.
Let's look at Dobbs and Garantano for a second. Those guys are having extended careers in the NFL. Underutilized at Tennessee? Anybody want to make that argument?
Not Dobbs.
Well,
Dobbs
you look
was,
at. I mean, Alvin Kamara, I would say, was underutilized at Tennessee as well. So, I mean, you can just add him to the list. He went from being barely used at Tennessee to one of the top running backs in the NFL. So,
Calhoun, I guess basically I'm looking at it from a performance standpoint. You're right. Dobbs was a standout player. There's no question about that. Just, those are two quarterbacks that are having success in the NFL that you didn't have a lot of team success with.
Correct. There's been a lot of quarterbacks in history that didn't have a lot of team success in college that did well in the NFL. I would say that Dobbs, statistically in 2016, until Hendon Hooker came along, 2016 was the second best season for any Tennessee football quarterback ever to Peyton Manning's 97 season. I would say Garantano. I have thoughts about Jim Chaney that I can't really go into. They're not negative thoughts. I just don't think Jim Chaney was the type of offensive coordinator that's a good coordinator if you're not loaded with talent. And Tennessee was not loaded with talent those 2 years he was there. And so
that's fair. I mean, he wasn't very innovative. There wasn't a lot of crazy, unique things going on. So I just look at team success, I guess, overall. But I compare it to a time when Tennessee was at a high level, and we'll see what these guys are able to do. I don't think that either of those guys would be put in a Hendon Hooker category. Let's put it that way. I think Hendon Hooker overachieved. I don't think either of those guys overachieved. Would you argue that?
Dobbs was a 3-star. I might say he did overachieve.
Okay.
I mean, look, if we're I'm going to say something blasphemous because he's a legend. If we're going to put Condrich Holloway in that category as a legend for Tennessee, when Tennessee went 7-3 and 8-4 2 of the years he was quarterback there, we got to be fair and put Josh Dobbs in the category.
Right. That's fair. I think there are two things with Condrich. Obviously, he was a trailblazer because he was African American, and he was the first SEC quarterback to be African American. And the other thing is he was shortchanged by the pros because he wasn't big enough or African American, whichever the case may be, and he had to go to the CFL. So I think that's what makes his story maybe a little richer as well.
Also, he delayed Tennessee's inevitable slide, like Dobbs did with Butch. Condrich saved Bill Battle for about 3 more years.
Yeah, nothing like a good Bill Battle reference. You can't get enough of those. Late 70s. I mean, Bill Battle. He's something special. Amanda, what else is cracking in the SEC? You seeing anything out there big time?
5-star safety DB/DB Tony Mitchell has signed his letter of intent with Alabama. That's the last thing I'm seeing right now.
So the big news of the day, again, we mentioned it. We thought there could be a chance that Arch Manning might flip to Georgia. At least that was a rumor. It doesn't appear as if that's going to be the case. Right now, if you go by ESPN's rankings, and we usually use 24/7, I want to take a look at them both. Alabama comes in at number 1 heading into the day. So we'll see if that slides at all. Tennessee, let's say everything holds, okay, which it may not, but it tends to do these days as opposed to previously. Was sitting at number 9 coming into the day, according to the 247 Sports Rankings, which is the composite rankings, which we typically use on offthesports.com. You had Alabama at number 1, Georgia number 2, Miami at number 3, Texas number 4, LSU 5, Notre Dame at 6, Ohio State at 7, Oklahoma at 8, and Tennessee at 9, followed by Clemson at number 10. You don't think that Orange Bowl is important because it's not a part of the college football playoff? It is. There will be a young man, I guarantee you. It might not be this class, but it'll be 2023 or 2024 that will watch that game, and somewhere in his brain, there will be a tendency to lean towards one school if they both come calling for him. I can guarantee you that will be the case. So, guys, signing day rolls on, and Josh Heupel will talk to the media later this afternoon. No coach has ever gone to the press conference, Amanda, and said, "Man, that really stunk. That signing day just blew up right in our face. How terrible was that?" So he's going to say it's great, but I want to go round robin before we get to message board bingo. Just and this day in sports history, I want to get your thoughts, Amanda, on this signing day. If everything plays out, which we think it will, and a lot of it already has, is this a win for the Vols even without a transfer portal quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's a win for the Vols. I would have rather seen them get a transfer portal quarterback. I understand what Ron Slay was saying about how, it doesn't show a lot of confidence in your backup. Well, the problem is with Joe Milton is there's not a lot to be that confident about. I mean, if we're being honest, there's not a lot to be that confident about. And if this is the day and time of NIL and transfer portal and all that stuff, then I feel like as a quarterback, you should be able to handle a little competition if it comes your way.
I don't have a problem with that. Calhoun, let's go to you. A 5-star in Nico, and then Tennessee has another 4-star in Caleb Herring, Nathan Leacock from North Carolina, Arian Carter, which was kind of a late pickup, Jordan Matthews, another 4-star, Shamrad Umarov, a 4-star, Ricky Gibson, a 4-star, who's kind of flown a little bit under the radar. I don't think his paperwork's in yet, Jarreu, if you can check that. Jalen Smith, a 4-star. Nathan Robinson is not a 4-star, but you're looking at Tennessee as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 4-stars and a 5-star. Is this a win for the Vols on December the 21st?
I think it's a huge win, and I think people keep forgetting that Josh Heupel was working on this class. Most of the time he was working on this class, he had 1 7-6 season, and Tennessee was still under investigation by the NCAA. And he got a top 10 class, and he addressed key needs. We know the whole offense is dictated by the quarterback. If you have the right quarterback, you can really mix in players elsewhere. And he got a quarterback, and seems like probably the crown jewel of the class, as Jarreu pointed out. And on top of that, he addressed some key needs. Elite linebackers all over, and Tennessee was very, very thin at linebacker. So, yeah, I think it was a huge one.
Yep, I agree.
Do we see John Slaughter and Ricky Gibson have officially signed?
I didn't see Gibson. Gibson signed?
Gibson has signed, and so has John Slaughter.
I knew about Slaughter. I didn't know about Gibson. What can you tell us about Gibson, Jarreu? Let me start with you or end with you. Is this a win for the Vols, December 21st, 2022?
I do not think you can complain at all with the class Josh Heupel put together. It's a very defensive-heavy class. He established with this class that if he wants a recruit in Tennessee, he'll get that guy. So I think just looking at those two things, it's a win. And also something that hasn't really been talked about a lot is with this class, everybody is signing today. So you'll know what you have by, probably 8 o'clock tonight. And the transfer portal doesn't close until January 18th. So you have the whole month of January. Once the bowl games end and everybody knows their fate, you'll have that whole month to pick up like, hey, maybe we didn't get a lineman we wanted, or maybe this guy enrolled early and he's not what we thought. Let's go pick up another guy out of the transfer portal. So you still have that coming. So even if you are disappointed in this class, it's not done yet. And I feel like once all the dust settles with coaching carousel and everything that's going on right now, there'll be some guys that are still looking for a home that Josh Heupel can get.
Any chance in reference to Ron Slay's comments about you could affect team chemistry or you could have him transfer? Any chance that you have Josh Heupel playing sly here, that he could pick up a quarterback later in the process by design, Amanda. Maybe he doesn't want to do it on December the 21st because it could affect team chemistry. You've got till January, as Caleb pointed out, January the 18th. Any chance he's playing Sly here?
I mean, if he's playing Sly, then he's breaking NCAA rules. I think that he just if you're playing Sly, then you're talking to somebody else who's not in the transfer portal yet at a different school. Because if someone is in the transfer portal and they're going to sign, they're going to sign as soon as possible. They're not just going to be out there just waving around. I mean, they're going to go somewhere. So I don't think he's playing Sly is what I'm getting at. I think that if there was a quarterback in the transfer portal that he wanted, he would go ahead and jump on it. He doesn't seem like the salesman kind of person to me.
I would agree with that. I think it's a great point. Calhoun?
Yeah, that I get what Slay's saying about team chemistry. I don't think it has. I don't think when you're going for. I don't think he's playing Sly, but I also don't think that it would affect team chemistry if he were going for another quarterback, because I think most players should understand that's the nature of competition in playing football, is that, coaches are going to try to upgrade their talent. The only time I think it affects team chemistry, here's a bit of a history reference because we've been talking about this for 2 weeks, so I have to bring it up. Dave, remember in 2006 when Brent Schaefer couldn't even academically qualify for Ole Miss yet, and Ed Orgeron's like, he's the starter. No matter what, I don't care what any quarterback does in practice, he's the starter. And I think if I were a player at Ole Miss, I'd have quit on Ed Orgeron in a heartbeat for that. To name a guy the starter before he couldn't even get into your school, that was just embarrassing. But outside of that, I don't think it affects team chemistry too much.
Well, I don't think he's playing slot, and part of the reason I don't is I don't see a quarterback out there that would fit the mold that has 1 year left. You're not going to go out and pay Drake May $5 million on January the 10th to get him because he's got 2 years of eligibility. Well, actually, he's got 3, but he's only going to play 2 because he's that good. So I don't think he's playing Sly Jarreu. I just don't think they're going to take a guy, and I don't think they're going to take a transfer portal quarterback unless it happens today.
I agree with you. I think he's not playing Sly intentionally. So maybe if a quarterback enters, like let's say January 2nd, that he likes, he might go after that guy, which wouldn't be – he's not intentionally – I guess he'd be intentionally waiting because the portal doesn't really have quarterback that I guess he would want. I feel like at the quarterback position with the offense Josh Heupel has, you have Joe Milton and you have Nico and you have Taven Jackson sitting there ready. So unless the perfect guy comes down the pipeline, I don't think he's going to get a quarterback. I don't think he'll settle on a guy that he doesn't see as the perfect fit because he really doesn't need to. I would like to see a transfer portal quarterback come in because it assures us that we'll not have overthrown footballs for the whole season next year. But I feel like unless Josh Heupel sees that perfect fit, we won't have a quarterback.